Greetings, class. My name is Fumilayo Solar, and I am here to discuss Chapter 2, Case 2. So, for Chapter 2, the main focus is on defining what IS is, Information Systems, and the book defines it as a formal socio-technical organizational system designed to collect, process, store, and distribute information. And so the major components are, as most of us are aware of, is IT, which is information technology, process, people, and there's one more, and structure. So really, there is discussion about knowing what technology you need, but if you don't have the implementation and the strategy and the people to put that into order or um, put that into place, then you are going to have a failed system. You're going to have a failed IT system. So um, I'll talk about the case and how that went about. So the case is Fancy Consultants and Company, IT consulting firm. So the main character is Blake. He is a master's student at Fancy, very, very famous university. He's a first year master's student. And so what attracted him to FC is that FC gives interns the opportunity to take on small scale projects on their own from start to finish. So I'll just give you a breakdown of how, in some ways, Blake was not given his opportunity that he was promised, and in some ways how Blake could have done a little bit better with advocating for himself. So the stats is for the Royal Hotel. Well, let me put it this way. So for FC works with different companies, and the Royal Hotel is one company in New York City that the consulting firm works with. So it's a luxury hotel, Manhattan, executive clientele. Most of the clientele are using their hotel, their suite also as an office. So for the IT, you have all the things that you need to do, office things like printer, TV for entertainment, fitness center, printers in every room. So just really a high scale hotel. Most of the clientele stay 3 to 6 days, so weekend up until a week, and the yearly revenue for the hotel is $30 million and 150,000 guests come in and out each year. So a pretty successful hotel. The main issue, okay, so Blake was assigned to the Royal Hotel, and he was flown to the hotel to start his internship. So really, it was just up to him to figure out what was going on. The major issue was housekeeping. So he met with the general manager, and the manager said, overall, this hotel is good, but this is a high scale hotel and we have a high standard. Oh, excuse my collar. We have a high standard, and good is not good enough. So we've had clogs in the toilet, light bulbs missing, and things are just not running as smoothly as they should. And basically, he just said to Blake, I need you to fix it. I need you to fix it. So what Blake did is he interviewed people in the hotel, including housekeeping, directors, just employees in general, and he came up with this idea that he wanted to adopt the MTech Cappuccino Rapid Response System. So the reason why he wanted to do that was when there were breakdowns in the hotel, they were able to, housekeeping could report that immediately versus what they were doing before, writing it down or keying it in after their shift. So after their shift, they might be running to try to get their kids or they're tired. And this would allow them to do it on the spot, and it would allow to cut down some human error because it's going into one system, and also to pull up, okay, which employees are doing the best at this, which employees are saving the company the most money or trouble. So the hotel took his advice, paid for the license, the startup costs, support, everything, and Blake was rolling. He thought he was great at what he was doing, which in some ways he was. He got a call up from the consulting firm and they sent him to another job. Now this is where it kind of falls apart because one, Blake was promised that this was his project for the summer. So he was doing so well at the project that they moved him to a credit union and in another city. And they replaced him with one of his classmates, Jack. Now, Blake already worked with Jack a few times and knew that he felt like Jack just wasn't the most responsible or the most trustworthy. So what Blake did was he gave Jack all of the information, all of his planning, all of his notes, and he thought that was that. A month and a half into his new placement, he gets a call from the consulting firm to say, this project is ruined. We need you to come back to New York City. You have 2 weeks before school. Fix it. At this point, Jack, who was his replacement internship was over. So he went on a backpacking course. And it kind of is an issue because now Blake left Jack this information, doesn't really know what Jack did with it, and now he has to go back to the hotel and fix any of Jack's mistakes, and Jack's not there to help him. So Blake is kind of in a weird spot to be put in. So I want to get into the 3 questions about what I think about the case and what I think could have been done differently. So the first question is, why do I think that the system failed? Why Cappuccino didn't work out? And I said that I think one of the inherent issues is that the advertisement of the internship didn't reflect the actual internship expectations. So for example, Blake came in thinking that he had one assignment and he would stick with that assignment throughout the summer, and that would be kind of his love child. And then when he finishes it, he can wrap it up. He can wrap it up himself and say, this was mine. Instead, the consulting firm thought he was doing such a great job, they moved him. And they moved him and replaced him with a classmate that he felt like wasn't very engaged in work, because he wasn't very engaged in work in school, in his perspective. I think that inherently was an issue because now you're giving Jack notes, Blake's notes. Jack wasn't there from the beginning to start everything. So now he has to pick up the pieces from Jack and from Blake. Sorry. So Jack has to pick up the pieces from Blake. And now that Jack is gone, Blake has to pick up the pieces from Jack and the broken pieces from what he had before. So I think that inherently was wrong on the consulting firm's end, because even if they wanted to give Blake the project back, back, they should have thought about that before Jack's internship was over. So they should have spent at least 2 or 3 weeks with them both in New York City working with each other so they could hand it over, and not expecting Jack to work after his internship, because you're basically asking him to do extra work that, I mean, most people, when they're done with a job, they move on. They're not going to work off the clock. So um, I think that there should have been more education surrounding the multiple components of the systems. So, for example, IT, Blake was comfortable with IT, with the system that he chose, but he didn't think about the other components of the people, the processes, and the structure. So well, let me take that back. He did think about people when he interviewed people, but he didn't think so much about the structure and the processes of how the system would be put into put into work after it was purchased. So I think that's where his issue was. He focused a little bit too much on IT and people and not enough on structure and processes. How I would fix the problem. I think that the general manager should have some responsibility in the matter, because it's his hotel that he's running. These are just interns coming from another consulting firm. So I don't think that the weight should be on Blake or Jack at the level that the general manager is making it seem, because he's responsible for his employees and he can make his employees enforce this new system, which he didn't. So I think that the general manager should have more responsibility, hold some more accountability for his lack of action. Let's see. I think that the FC consulting firm should have checked in with the hotel more and should have checked in with the interns more, because they know that they were still students and this was probably their first real project. So I think that it was really short-sighted for them not to at least do some sort of supervision. Um, and what I think that Blake could have done differently, I think he could have expressed that Jack isn't reliable and that was a concern that he had. It seems very ratty, but at the same time, I think that since it's still representing him, this project's representing him, that he does need to speak up. And I think that in really the major reason that major thing that I feel like Blake should have done was to remind the consulting firm what he signed up for. So he signed up to finish this project. So them sending him out to another setting took away from his ability to see one project through. So now he's not only doing a project, he's putting out fires now. He's doing conflict solution now at a level that I don't think that an intern should be doing, in my opinion. I think at this point, the consulting firm needs to step in and fix the problem. Like I said before, I think that Blake and Jack should have had more time together if the consulting firm insisted that he leave. I think that they should have had some conversation before Blake left, and Blake should have stayed at the hotel with Jack at least a week or two to work on that. And yeah, so I already covered this, but I think the main thing is Blake should have spoke up for himself that he wanted to keep his project and see it through. So thank you so much for listening to my video. Once again, this is chapter 2, case 2. We're talking about the Royal Hotel and what I feel like Blake could have done better, and also what I felt like the general manager could have done better, the consultant firm could have done better. Thank you so much for your time.